leadership is, a lot of it is about making decisions. And I know that making a decision when it's calm is different sometimes from making a decision when it's a crisis. How did decision making change, or did it change during Katrina? And then I'll want Joe's thoughts on kind of that general question around leadership in general.
You know, you made reference to my background at Notre Dame with Coach Holtz, and he had this concept called the WIN, W-I-N, and it stood for what's important now. Yeah. And I thought about that during the literal dark days of Katrina, where I felt like I was in this drama that the rest of the world was seeing, but also had some objective distance to try and keep focused on what's important now. And the decision making really was focused on people. We knew that at the end of the day, we had to restore an electric grid that would wind up being one of the major factors of repopulation and production for the region. Mm-hmm. We knew that before the storm hit. But we knew that bucket trucks and wires didn't bring power back. It was the people who manipulated that machinery that brought the people back. And so Katrina, from its inception, when the gravity of the devastation hit, it was really about reclaiming a reclamation project for people. It wasn't until we were able to restore the psyche of those hundreds of employees who I had to inform they were homeless. It was only after we were able to get them off of their back and on their feet that we could then ask them to focus on the mechanical aspects of bringing the power back on. And so 10 years gives you perspective. And I can tell you, as I think about the worst of decision making in and after Katrina, it was around the human impact of decisions and how we would go about motivating individuals to work on their craft without knowing how their families were going to pick up the pieces. And I'll also add, particularly for those students who aspire to great levels of success financially or in organizational structures, there's a big distinction between the authority that comes with being appointed to a position and the responsibility that comes with it. And never was that lesson more pronounced for me than when Katrina rendered my workforce homeless. And I knew that every decision that I and that we as a leadership team would make was affecting the lives not just of the citizens of New Orleans, but the employees who we were going to be relying on to bring the city back.
And Joe, in terms of that, from your studies across companies, is that a similar type of reaction around decision making and around prioritization and leadership?
Yeah, I think that's right, and you know, Rod has emphasized training, and that's obviously critical. I think another thing that a lot of the best leaders and commentators include is prior training, but also prior reflection. The capacity for solitude, kind of really just knowing who you are and what your values and principles and so forth is, because you know, when the crisis hits, you need to be not only in a leadership position, but actually a leader.
That's right.
I mean, you need to have the trust and confidence of your people ahead of time, and you need to have thought through what you're going to do and what your priorities are. One commentator on it said that if you wait until your first crisis to figure all that out, it's like being a soldier who waits until his first firefight to figure out how to use his weapon. So you kind of got to know what you're doing.
That's right.
Before that time comes.